my mother's, they didn't want to have anything. And so when my mother married my father, it wasn't.
Wow.
What I find is very interesting. This is my mother on her wedding day. I think she took. If I saw the dress, I would know it. She's wearing the crystals that I gave you at some point.
Yes. You gave me, and then we gave to Laura. I think either Laura or one of the twins has them.
Who has them?
One of the twins.
Laura
or Becky. Whoever got married, they borrowed those for their wedding.
Oh, I don't remember.
So then Frankie gave you her pearls, and you gave me those.
Oh, okay.
So yes, there was
yeah, kind of roaming around. But well, you can see the headdress, which was very stylish. But
yes.
Later on, my mother took it off when they were out in the yard, and I don't know where the reception was. They were taking pictures. What I find interestingly is that there's no pictures of my father on the wedding day. I find that that it could have possibly been customary
that you just take the bride,
because people didn't take a lot of pictures.
But you think the couple together.
Just a couple of pictures. Somebody might have had a camera. 1924, people didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. So that may have been
that. She's beautiful there, and this one's beautiful.
Yeah. She had a very, very. I remember the dress very well. I saw it one time. She said they went into Steiger's in Springfield, and they saw this pure silk dress that had a wide band of silver thread down it, and you can just see it in there. There's a band of silver, and they added sleeves for her. It was sleeveless. That was the day of the sleeveless, And she, I don't know much about her headdress. That was probably very stylish. But my mother had so much, you can see she has beautiful hair. She had so much hair that she had to take the back section and put it up on her head because she couldn't fit two of these, the arrangement that they had. She had to put, she said she put it up on her head. And she had a wave in her hair, too. She didn't have a permanent at that time. I'm wondering who she looks like in here. I don't know who she looks like. She doesn't look like my sister Jean. My sister Jean doesn't look like her. She doesn't look like her children. So,
you look like her.
Yes, I ended up looking. Yes, that's true. Everybody started as time went on.
I mean, even here,
I think these might have been.
You even here.
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah.
And
I
certainly
think
the nose.
I had her nose. Well, her nose is a little straighter.
And her brow, I think.
And I had her forehead. Yeah, her forehead. Yeah, I remember
And this was her. So do you remember what that was? What was she doing in a car?
No, but it's...
Is that in New York?
No, not New York. She didn't go to New York. Could have been Springfield.
In a car, in the cart like that? Was that just a taxi, or?
There were still horse-driven vehicles at that time. I don't know how old she is here. She was 33 when she was married, and then she turned, she might have even, remember she said she's married on May 30th. And May 15th was her, May 8th was her birthday. So I think she was 33 or 34. So that would have been, I don't know, 19 what? She was born in I've got it. She was born in 1890.
She was born in 1890.
Yeah.
Okay. And when was this?
I'm just going to guess 1920.
20. So then she would have been 30.
I'm sorry?
She would have been 30.
Yeah.
So you said she got married when she was 33?
Yes.
So she had her kids from 33 to 40?
Yeah, yeah, 44. Tom was born in January, and she turned 44 in May. So she was, I think she's 41 as well. 1931 is when I was born. She was born in 1892.
92, so to 31, so she was 40, right? Yeah, she was 40 when you were born.
When I was in April, but then she had a birthday in May.
May, so she was almost 41
yeah,
with you.
So she would have been going on 41. And then she had Tom is 1934. So she would have been 44.
42, almost 43.
42, 43.
Yeah, because
43.
if she was born in 92.
Yeah, because he was born in January and her birthday was in May.
So then
she turned
42.
Yeah. Usual in that, but she had a job. She was teaching, and I think she had kind of an interesting life as a single woman.
Yeah.
But then her mother, my grandmother, was very upset that my mother wasn't married, because in those days you couldn't go to dinner, you couldn't go anywhere by yourself. You could go to the church and you could go to the library, nowhere else, but unaccompanied. So her mother. And then but in the meantime, she had gone to Washington, D.C. to visit her younger sister, Anita, who was back from Europe. Anita grew up in Europe, was educated, lived in Rome and lived in Paris, went to the Sorbonne. And anyway, she was in town visiting, and my mother went to visiting, and met and fell madly in love with a World War I pilot. The biplane, and he had the white scarf and the judge. And I saw a picture of him. I wish I had that picture. Very young. He looked like Gary Cooper. It would have been like curly brown hair. Insanely in love with him. Never got over him. Never. To the day she died, she never got over him. Madly, insanely in love with him. But of course, we have no idea what happened or why they didn't marry, whatever. But I'm just guessing it wasn't Catholic.
Yeah.
And at that time, except that some of her siblings got married, all badly, and married non-Catholic. But my mother wouldn't. She would apparently share. He probably said, could have been him. We have no idea. He could have said, I will not practice, I will not convert, and I will not marry anybody. Yeah. And because they would have had children, and he could have said, I'm not bringing my children up now. So that would have been a stumbling block. But when will I show you? I've got something to show you. Speaking of that. Interesting. Oh, I'm absolutely
Really interesting.
delighted to see them.
Yeah, this guy just reminds me somehow of Tom. You know, like if you look at it like this, you know, just far enough that it could be
He's
some kind of
starting to
cousin.
look a little familiar. I think I'm thinking maybe I do know who that one is. That would be my aunt's husband. My Auntie Jean, who lived in New Jersey. She was married to Tom Serio, but he was the chief wireless operator on the SS United States. So he was a career person. But he's dressed up here.
Must be a wedding or something.
But there's something about him that looks familiar. My sister Frankie, Tom might know. But
I could send copies of these to Tom.
Would he?
Maybe he'd like
them. That would be.
It's his mother.
He would love to have it.
Maybe he'd recognize somebody.
That is my cousin Evelyn. Interestingly enough, with my mother. My mother's mother, my grandmother, married Morris O'Connell, and her sister married Morris's brother, whose name I think was John. So there was double cousins. They were double first cousins, and this is one of them. And that was, I think her name was Evelyn. Evelyn, she married a man named Nash, who was dead. I never met him. He must have died quite early. She never had children. Maybe she had, you know what? They might have been, she talked about flower girls. These might have been flower girls that she had.
Right.
Not bridesmaids, but flower girls. In other words, young.
Right.
Like 14.
Yeah, right.
They could be 14.
They certainly look like they're dressed up for an occasion.
Yes, I'm thinking now that you mention it.
They all have little flowers.
Yes.
Maybe they crocheted or something.
The dresses.
Yeah, beautiful dresses.
I'm sure they must have been in those days. Everything was handmade.
Right, yeah.
If you paid for something, it was really beautiful. Yeah, my mother's gown was very, very pretty, and she looked very, very pretty. I think those are flower girls. That's Evelyn Nash. But so my mother's cousins were her double first cousins. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but this one, she and Evelyn were very close, even closer than I think that my mother's sisters. You know, they really consider themselves, a cut above my father's people. They really did. They really did. They considered my father. They thought my mother had married beneath her. And of course she did. If you look at it that way. But my father was such a great person. But I think that is so interesting. It's a shame they didn't write.
Oh, I know.
Right. You think you're going to remember forever. You know that?
Yeah.
You think you're going to remember, and you don't. The years go on. Yeah, I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Is that a school photo, or?
I'm sorry?
Was that a school?
Yeah. Yeah. 7. I would have been 3rd grade. Yeah.
3rd grade.
Yeah. My hair. Oh, I hated my hair. Oh, I hated it. Hated. One time as a kid, I cut strips of paper and I curled them around my finger like that to make them, and I attached them to my hair so that I had long curls. Because I thought long curls, that was the epitome of glamour. And I that's what I must have been very young.
Yeah.
But imagine.
Well, kids do that kind of dress up. Dress up.
Imagine he's too old to do that.
I know, not that he would.
Oh, I think that's so funny, but I hated my hair. I just hated it so much. Yeah. You know what? I'm wondering if maybe my brother Tom
might know them.
Tom might know these guys. These may have been
the wedding, you know, like your dad's friends, maybe.
Well,
but people didn't have. He didn't go to college, so
I don't know if my father had. I don't know. In the car.
But they're all the age of. Yeah, they're like in their. Oh yeah, Jim McGrail would know what year it was from the car.
Yeah, that's right. They don't look awfully young men. This
no, 20s. Would you say 20s? 20s, early 30s?
Yeah. Well,
20s.
Men looked older than they do now. You know, they wore the fedora, the clothes, and so on. But that one there, I'm wondering if maybe they could have been. I noticed this one has a boutonniere, which would mean a wedding.
Right.
The boutonniere.
Yeah, you're right.
And this one here.
Yeah.
So it could have been the wedding. Yes, it could have been. Let's see, who would it have been? It could have been my aunts, some of their husbands, or it could have been the other cousins. There are several. I remember Tom O'Connell and John O'Connell. Those are my mother's male cousins. And I'm just wondering. I would be very interested to know who they are, but if they don't look familiar to me.
Well, I'll send copies to Tom.
Now that I think about it, I remember my mother saying something about her flower girls, and we think of flower girls being
really little,
but
yeah.
no, they would. I'm thinking now these were her flower girls, and that's her cousin Evie. She was called Evelyn Nash. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were in the wedding party. Looked like beautiful. I'm trying to look at the background. My mother's flowers must have been beautiful. That was very, very pretty. And then a long train. A veil and then a long train underneath it. Yeah, that would have been the height of elegance. But that's the one that fascinates me. Yeah, that's my mother. Because I can't figure out when it was.
That is such an interesting photo, too. This photo is interesting. Somebody stepped back and wanted to take a picture of her in the carriage, right?
Well,
so they must have been on a trip or something.
Well,
right?
I'm wondering if maybe when if you ordered a horse and a carriage, they say, "Would you like a photo?"
Right.
That kind of thing, because it does look posed.
Yeah, it looks posed.
Yes, I think you're right. But I think that would, it was. She used to tell me one time, she mentioned that she had a friend that was so nice, she said she could write a note early in the morning and she'd run out to get the mail, which was like this would have been the mailman, and she'd give it to him, and then he'd go to her friend's house, drop it off, and the friend would write a note and send it back. So she said they would get their mail back and forth very quickly, and she loved that kind of stuff. So that's what your mother looked like as a child. Yeah.
Yep, there you are, mother.
Tom would like these. Yeah. I remember that dress very well. I remember her talking about her gown, that she went to Steiger's and they added, it was a sleeveless, and they added sleeves. She wouldn't wear a dress without sleeves. But that's fascinating, isn't it?